So there you go. It is the KROQ Weenie Roast Fiesta 2015. Just announced. And Muse is here in the studio with us.
Come on.
Muse
Hold on a second.
We're here. We're back.
The band Muse that we just heard is playing the show May 16th at
That's
Verizon.
correct.
Now you're telling me that 2 of the 3 are here in studio with us on the Kevin and Bean Show.
2/3 of Muse.
2/3, the majority.
That's true.
That'd be a good cover band title. 2/3 of Muse.
So the 2/3 voting majority decided to come in today, so we appreciate that.
Yeah, we
Thank you,
voted
guys.
yes for KROQ.
So we have Matt and we have Dom, and as you sat down, Matt, I believe you said you don't think, and I think you're right, you guys have ever played the KROQ Weenie Roast
Yeah,
before.
we just worked that out. Yeah, we did the Inland Invasion a bunch of years ago, like Absolution, like 2003 or something. Yeah,
Right.
And then we've done Acoustic Christmas at least 2 or 3 times. And every time I remember the Killers being there, I think.
Every time.
I remember every time I remember watching the Killers going, damn, they're good. And so first time, looking very much forward to it. Yeah, very
Are there
excited.
any-
the Weenie Roast is so much fun.
Is it weird for you as a band that plays on a lot of different festivals to think about going after another band? Or like the Killers you just mentioned are great live. They are great live. Is it strange for you to think about who you're going to follow or who's going to follow you or how that all works out?
It's a bit weird sometimes, yeah. I mean, you just try and, like, forget about it and do your own thing. But I remember last year when we played Coachella, we were playing before Queens of the Stone Age, and I was like, oh, damn. Really? Do we have to?
You Coachella, we're playing after them, weren't we?
Yeah, they
that
played
was
just
actually the
before
most-
us, yeah. So I was like, oh,
I agree,
God.
that was the most...
Do we really have to play after Queens of the Stone Age?
That was most threatening.
Yeah, because I went to see him as well, and they were, like, obviously excellent. So I was like, oh,
it was like almost embarrassed to go on after that. Yeah.
They're also unusually loud. Did you guys notice
yeah.
that? Like when you see them, they're louder than any band.
Seriously loud, yeah.
It's strange.
Yeah, they got loud amps on stage, yeah.
Was there ever a time when you guys, well, first of all, was there ever a time that you guys were an opening act?
Yeah, was it? We were way back, yeah. We opened up, well, the first US tour we ever did, it was a great tour. We were lucky enough to be the opening act first on, and then it was Foo Fighters, and then it was Chili Peppers.
Wow.
It was the Californication tour, 99, you know?
Wow.
And we just did the East Coast, so we didn't come over here. And,
But
that's really where we cut our teeth, and we looked up to both those bands and thought, wow, we need to up our game here, you know? So.
Does the opening act, even when you're playing for a massive band that you love so much like Foo Fighters, do you go in there and go, I'm gonna blow this audience away. I'm gonna be better than the headliners?
Well, yeah. I mean, you try your best. You know what I mean? But it was right at that point. That was the first album, wasn't it? So Showbiz was like when we were still sort of finding ourselves, really. And it was when we were writing the album's Origin of Symmetry, which was our second album, and that was very much inspired by being on that tour and seeing those guys playing those sort of big riffs and wanting to get the crowd going, you know. So we started jamming out riffs for the first time on that tour, and that's where we kind of found the heavier side of our sound.
Did you then sit back and go, okay, Foo Fighters, this is ridiculous, because they're one of the best live bands. They literally are one of the best live bands ever.
Yeah, no, it's what an amazing bill. I mean, and then Peppers as well was phenomenal. You know, just amazing musicianship, and both great bands, and we were so lucky to have that experience so early on.
Why do you have your hoodie on? What's up with that?
I'm actually kind of weirdly cold.
It's freezing in here, that's why.
It is a little cold in here.
I've become fully Californianized, you know, because they say that when you've lived it for like a year or two, you start to get chilly all the time.
It dips below 80, and you're like, this is freezing.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
And that's crazy for an English person, because I'm used to like freezing cold misery.
Speaking of the early tours, I was thinking about this because you guys are getting ready to have a summer where you play. I mean, a show like the Weenie Roast may be one of the smallest dates you play this summer because you're playing all the big festivals, right, and including the big one in Japan and everything. So you're going to be playing for hundreds of thousands of people this summer. How different is that from this spring where you guys have been playing some of the smallest venues that you've played in your career? Tell me about that club tour you did in the UK.
Oh, it was amazing. It was great. I mean, we haven't played some of those venues for like 15 years or something like that.
Wow.
So we just wanted to do like a small tour and kind of rock out, you know. So the set list was pretty heavy. We pulled out a bunch of like older tracks, B-sides, things we haven't played for years, and it was great. The crowd went mental, didn't they? They really kicked off. Like they just erupted. Like, you know, things like the end of Nights of Sidonia before the riff, when it builds up and the riff kicks in. You know, there was like huge circles of death, circle pits, or whatever you want to call them.
Circles of death.
You know, everyone's running around and then they all pile into each other and kick each other's heads in. But
it must be
it
nice.
Was fun though. It was a great tour.
To go back and do that and play songs that you haven't played in forever, or maybe haven't played ever.
Totally.
And just seeing that reaction.
That's the best thing ever, yeah, because you can actually see everyone right up close, you know, so you really kind of get this intimate feeling, and it was a great excuse to play all these old B-sides. And but in the words of Bon Jovi, you know, what is it? I've seen a million faces, and I rocked them all. Yeah, that is
beautiful.
Sweet. That is a great lyric. I did some maths. I think we're playing to 2 million people this year, so we're going to rock 2 million faces this year. So we're going to beat Bon Jovi.
So you guys, I mean, it sounds like you kind of miss. You're doing these huge shows all over the world, but there's some part of you that kind of misses being a club band, right?
Well, it's been so long, you know. It's been a long time, you know. A few years ago, I just said the opposite. I said, no, we love all these, the big crowds and everything. But we just wanted to reconnect. What was it? We did this gig. It was a charity gig, wasn't it, in London, Shepherd's Bush Empire. Where it was only say 1,500 people, and we just kind of forgot what that energy feels like. So we just wanted to do a little warm-up tour to remind ourselves of what it's like to be that close to the fans, you know. But
is it in a way a little bit disturbing that you can see all of them? Because when you're on stage,
yeah. So I wouldn't say disturbing. It definitely makes you up your game more because you feel everyone can see exactly what you're doing up close, and so you just feel a bit more on under the microscope. Do you know what I mean?
These are the voices of Matt and Dom from the band Muse, longtime KROQ favorites. They are playing the Weenie Roast coming up just in less than a month or so from right now. The KROQ Weenie Roast Fiesta 2015 is going to be on Saturday, May 6th at the Verizon Wireless Amphitheater.
May 16th? May 16th?
What did I say?
6th.
It'll be on
We're
Saturday,
actually
May
doing 2 shows, you guys. You ready for that? 2 Weenie Roasts.
Oh, perfect. We're down.
They're in.
You can get all the details and get them right at kroq.com. And the new Muse album is going to be called Drones. That one is coming out on June 9th. We have many questions about that with our guests when we return right after this on the world-famous KROQ. And the band Muse, one of the bands playing the KROQ Weenie Roast Fiesta coming up on Saturday, May 16th at the Verizon Wireless Amphitheater. Matt and Dom from the band in studio with us here on KROQ this morning. Good to see you again, boys.
Thank you.
I mentioned Drones, which is coming out on June 9th here in the U.S. We've been playing a couple of songs from it. By the way, let's talk about Psycho for starters, because that was the first taste we got of the new album. Is this the biggest riff you guys have ever written? This is like your Back in Black, isn't it?
It's definitely the least expensive riff we've ever played. That's a kind of way of saying cheapest.
It's actually a very old riff. It turns out we've been playing that riff for about 15 or 16 years or something.
What? But it never made it into a song before?
It goes way back. Yeah, it was a riff we always used to just play at like the end of like Stockholm Syndrome or something like that and just kind of jam out on it and smash up all the gear. That's what we used to do. So I don't know, it's always just been a favourite kind of riff, I suppose.
Well,
so, yeah,
I know you guys talked about how when you were playing that song at these club shows that, I mean, you can just see the audience move en masse. There's something about that kind of guitar playing that just makes everybody jump, right?
Oh yeah, it totally kicks off. Yeah, it's the best reaction to a new song I've ever seen in a live setting. You know, first, straight off the bat, the crowd just kicks off. Massive.
Well, they all sing the riff, which is kind of
rare. Nobody sings the words. All the lyrics. They all just go.
And then after,
you ever go, hey, there are lyrics to this song?
I worked hard on these.
Listen to that.
I suddenly realised we could actually all stop playing and actually just sing the song over them singing the riff.
Oh, pretty good.
That's very good.
I like
all right,
it.
so then that was Psycho, and then and somebody's got a lot of enjoyment out of using the F word in that song. I'd like to also point that out. And then comes Dead Inside, which has been a huge record here on KROQ and around the world. And I guess when we get to hear the album, those songs will fit together as part of an album-long narrative, as I understand it.
Yeah, there's kind of a loose. No, actually, it's a pretty specific narrative. Actually, it runs through the first part of the album. It kind of ends on this song called Aftermath, and. Yeah, it kind of follows a journey. I mean, the album's kind of it's a bit dark, you know. It's not kind of morning chat, but it's kind of about the journey into becoming a psychopath, you know, and losing empathy, and it's kind of like a metaphor for what's happening in the world, you know, drone warfare and all this kind of stuff that's going on, where it's kind of becoming acceptable to sort of live without empathy, becoming very clinical, efficient, making decisions without emotion, taking humans out of the equation, basically. And the album sort of explores that journey in its sort of darkest format.
Does it bum you out that a lot of people won't get that? Listen, you know what I mean? Like, because I'm a guy who loves music.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you words to most songs.
Yeah, no, I'm not bothered by that at all. I think the music. I think for me the music speaks for itself. In other words, a lot of the time I'm throwing words in there that to me are trying to give some meaning to what the music is already saying. Do you know what I mean?
I see. Yeah, so that makes sense.
So is this a topic, this lack of empathy that you're talking about, is this something that you guys looked at as this is a good topic for a group of songs, or is this something that you spend a lot of time thinking about it and worrying about and are making comment on?
Sorry, can you say? Sorry, I was distracted by something. Yeah, sorry, say that again.
I'm shiny.
What are you doing, Allie?
Nothing.
We had a
your lovely moment.
We had a moment. All right.
It was beautiful.
Keep your top down while we're doing the interview.
Oh, he wasn't squinting. Those are
No,
small.
what I was asking is this topic about the lack of empathy in the drones and everything. Is this something that's actually something that you seriously think about and worry about, or is it just something you said, hey, there's something that I can make great songs about?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I've always been interested in what's going on in the world. I'm more interested in what's going on in sort of technology and stuff like that. I'm one of those geeky types that reads like science magazines and things like that. And we are kind of living, weirdly enough, in this time where like Terminator 2 type stuff is actually happening. You know, if you go, there's a bunch of news articles out now and campaigners out because drones are about to become autonomous. You know, where they make kill decisions without humans.
What could go wrong?
It sounds like exactly. Yeah. it sounds like ridiculous sci-fi stuff, but that is actually being debated now, and it's kind of like an ethical thing, I guess. And so I just when I was struggling to write lyrics, I just thought I'll sing about that. You know, that'll do.
All right. More importantly, though, than drones, your thoughts on robot sex? Are you for or against it?
Totally in favour, as always.
Okay, good. As always, we're on the same page there.
Yeah. So long as
Dom,
humans
sex?
behind the controls somewhere.
Sure, I'm into it. I'll watch anything.
Is there any danger of people thinking songs about, because people don't expect much out of the rock bands these days. We're well past an era where most artists are political. Most people don't write about things like that anymore. Is there any danger, do you think, of some fans saying, wow, these guys are going off the deep end, or these guys are pretentious, or who cares what these guys think about that?
No,
you ever worry about how it's received?
No, there's no danger. There's no risk whatsoever in anything to do with this kind of job. You know what we're talking about. You know, the danger is getting guns and going out to war. Oh, sorry. That's dangerous.
Language.
I mean, sorry about that. But there's no risk at all. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Someone says I don't like that.
Right.
I've had worse days.
Well, a drone strike, I think, is the worst that could happen.
Yeah, there you go. Possibly.
Technically.
An autonomous drone strike. Yeah. Okay. We'll start looking at my back window.
Well, I can only guess what some of these song titles, because again, we haven't heard the record yet. It comes out here in the U.S. on June 9th. We're talking with the band Muse about their album Drones. I can only guess what some of these song titles are. For instance, when I see JFK listed, for instance, I go, all right, I'm curious now. You got my attention.
Yeah. Well, that's actually, we managed, I don't know how we pulled it off. We managed to get permission to use a sort of JFK speech, actually, that was, and we put some music to it. It's basically him talking about, at the time he was talking about the rise of communism and basically how America and the press and everyone needs to kind of work together to try and stop these forces of bureaucrats and so on taking over our freedoms and so on. But when you look at when you read the speech in modern times, it has a very it has a context that relates very much to the world we live in now. So I thought
isn't that interesting that part of your job that day was contacting somebody's presidential museum to get permission to I mean, that's weird.
Yeah, that was a good part of the album. Yeah, it was definitely
do you guys have
clearance to get?
Do you guys have to sort of feel? Do you feel the emotion when you wrote it later when you're playing it? And that was a poorly asked question. I'm gonna take that. Can I take that again?
I think you should. Sure.
All right. When you write a song, you're in one place. Then when you perform it, maybe it's a year or two later.
Yeah.
Can you still tap into that place?
Yeah, for
sure. Do you have
yeah.
to?
Totally, yeah. It's songs to me feel like little moments in time that are captured, like a memory, like a photograph or something. And every time you revisit it, it brings that memory back.
And then I want to ask Dom, what is it like for you to play those songs? Because you may not have necessarily been in the mind space that he is. You may never be in that mind space. I don't know.
You don't want to be, trust me.
I think you always tune into, I suppose, the emotion of the song to a degree when we're playing. But what's nice is I think songs change. You kind of if you haven't played a song for a long time, then you come back to it. It feels very different to how it might have felt when you actually recorded it or first started performing it, and you can kind of start to see it in a different way, or can kind of I don't know. It has like a fret. You can see it with like fresh eyes, I suppose. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, they change.
It's so fun to watch your band grow and change throughout the years. I mean, we remember so well when your first album came out. We were all so excited. Who's this new band, Muse? And now here you are with your 7th album getting ready to come out. I mean, it must feel weird for you guys too to be veterans now.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd be going this long. Jesus.
Do we have to use that word?
We don't have to use the word veterans. No, I mean,
no, look, we've got at least another very respectable 10 years. I think.
I certainly hope.
Hey, you were telling us how you saw AC/DC at Coachella. Those guys are still going, what? They've got to be pushing 70.
Yeah, I
They're
thought
still
that
out
would have
there
been
rocking hard, right?
I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Yeah, it sounded amazing. His voice is just ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, and the guitar playing and everything. When he came out with the horns, what's that song with the horns? When he's got the horns on his head. You know, all the fire came out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not Highway to Hell. It's the other one to do with hell or flames or something.
That's all of them, isn't it?
And it was just, I was actually in there. I was in hell, like, you know, rocking out with Bill Hicks, basically.
Well, it gives you something to aspire to in your later years. We're so excited about the new record coming out on June 9th. It's called Drones. We're even more excited about getting a chance to see you guys up close and personal Saturday, May 16th at the Verizon Wireless Amphitheater. Thank you in advance for being part of this year's KROQ Weenie Roasted Fiesta. We're very, very pleased to have you. You're always
Thanks for having us.
one of our favorites, and we love it when you stop by the Kevin and Bean Show. So thanks so much, you guys.
Cheers. Thank you
very much.